About that. Let's talk about housing. It's not getting any easier for businesses to find workers.
For seasonal housing for businesses?
Yes.
What the board could do for seasonal housing for businesses?
Because you can't even get these folks. You know, a lot of them, the J1s.
Oh, I understand.
Did you meet your wife that way, by the way?
Yeah, she was a J1 visa. Yeah. Well, to help the businesses out here, you could encourage them. First of all, if you own a business and you're making money, you have to have your own place. Or I shouldn't say you have to have your own place, but it's definitely in your best interest to have another, has a house for your staff. That's really just going to help.
You mean like a restaurant or somebody?
Yeah, exactly. If you have a restaurant or a larger business out here, you're going to need to be able to staff your employees. You're going to want to anyway, just to get your employees back year after year. Just to have them. I don't want to say that you're kind of trapping them, but it's a good incentive to come back for work. It's really difficult to say that you have to buy a house out here. Because you can't do that. But you just have to. If you're out here and you're making a ton of money, because most businesses out here are making pretty good money.
Yep. But smaller businesses can't afford to buy a house.
No, they can't, and that is a problem.
It is.
That I understand.
What about affordable housing?
Affordable housing is a huge issue. So affordable housing. That we need affordable housing out here. We need to have different solutions rather than just the 40Bs. Trust me, my sister has a 40B and I love it. I love the fact that my sister lives a half mile away from me. I think it's fantastic. I really do. I'm not against 40Bs. I'm just against these breakneck paces of these huge 40B projects that are going on right now. There are other ways for affordable housing. There are several places around America that also have land leases that no one has really talked about on Nantucket. But if you have a land lease, say you have a 10-acre property of land, you are able to put 20 different houses on that property. But rather than just sell them or give the houses away, the property away, you actually lease it out for a real nominal fee. Maybe it's just $150 or $200 a month for the land. But you're able to give the candidates for the low-income housing, they're able to buy a house or build a house on that piece of property, and you make it with the same specs that you'd make a prefab with, so you would move it. And so they can lease that land for maybe it's 10 years or 15-year lease. And so what they do is for 10 or 15 years, they're putting equity into their house to make it easier to buy a piece of property out here. And then so rather than just giving someone a piece of land with a little property on it with all these stipulations on it, you can actually, there are ways to go around that. I don't know if that makes any sense to you in that 2-minute
Well, it sounds like you're...
but over a 50-year period, you could help out 3 or 4 families, 5, 6 families, rather than just one family with that one small pice of land. So there are other ways around it.
It probably takes a few varieties of
I'm saying it's not just going to be. It's not just the 40B. It's gonna have to be a mix of several different solutions. But there are other solutions.
Okay. Do you think we have a problem with undocumented workers here?
I think that there's so many undocumented workers here that they're here for the money, obviously, and they are able to live in conditions that a lot of other Americans won't live in.
That's right.
And so they do what they have to do. They do what they have to do to get work. They show urgency in what they do for work. And if they need to sleep 6 people to a basement, they'll sleep 6 people to a basement, where a lot of my friends wouldn't be able to do that.
Who's hiring those guys,
No, but if you see them around, you go to any lumber yard, they're around. It's not kind of hard to hide who's hiring them. If you drive down the street, they're everywhere.
Yep.
And I have no problem with immigrants at all. I just want to throw that out there. My wife is from a foreign country. My brother-in-law is from a foreign country. It's no problem with immigration or immigrants whatsoever.
Yeah. It's just the way it works out here.
Right.
And that's why I brought it up.
But there are certainly different parts of the construction community that really use a lot of immigrant labor.
So that brings me into the next question about enforcement. Someone asked me to ask that question. Should we enforce
I think we should enforce laws that are on the books, for sure.
Yeah.
I think that we should enforce some laws that are on the books. But you know what? You have to be.
Yeah.
You have to be careful because you don't want to scare everyone away. You can't get rid of all of a sudden.
I mean,
no
what would we do?
What would we do for a landscape force? And I hate to say it like that. What would we do for a landscape force? What are we going to do? I used to be a landscaper. The work ethic has gone downhill so fast that it was. I remember at a point, back around 2000, that I was talking to someone. It's like, these Latinos really work circles around these younger kids.
Yeah.
They just work circles around these younger kids. What are you going to do?
Right.
What are you going to do? They'll do 5 times the work. What are you going to do? So it's kind of hard to, and right now we've made this bed on Nantucket where that's what we have. We have this giant workforce, that's out there now. That's the painters, the landscapers. And what are you going to do? Like, you can't just take them all away.
No, but could you back off of how much we landscape? I mean, you did bring up.
I think that we should be able to back up.
Fertilizer.
I think that we should slow it down with the fertilizers. I think that we should have some sort of scientist on the payroll for the town of Nantucket that tells you, hey guys, this is enough. Right. You can't be doing this.
Right. Your lawn is too green. This is not right, and you can't put that much on.
I'm sorry, you just can't do it anymore. You can't just keep throwing fertilizer down there, right on the harbor. But it is a loaded question.
Sure.
That is a total loaded question about the immigrants, because we need to enforce some rules. We need to help out the local workforce as well. Especially. I think we need to have, make it easier for local people to get in the trades. I definitely think that we need to make it easier for local people to get in the trades.
What about Sconset Beach? What do you think? What's your view on that?
I think that well, first of all, I'm against it. I'm against the whole project. Anytime that you put any sort of structure in the, on the beach to try to prevent erosion, remember this from my coastal science classes, all it's going to do is you're going to create erosion before and after the structure that you're putting in to stop. So if you put in a bulkhead, you're going to create more erosion before and after the bulkhead. It's just how it is with the tides, the currents. That's just how it is.
I think in their case, though, because they kept throwing sand on it, that sand didn't erode. It carried the sand down further, so it did not allow.
Right. So I was at 109. I was at 109 the other day. Right after Posner's, and that has about 25 feet, taken out of it in the last couple of weeks. And that's right after the bags. It's right after the geotubes, and you can see how it's. It's just one of those constant things that you have to constantly throw it down there every day.
Yep.
Feed the beast. You just feed it down. I mean, it is the ocean. It's not going to stop. It's not going to have it's the ocean. Mother Nature is undefeated, and she's going to end up winning this. And this will stop them. I mean, this will stop it for, a couple more years, but it's really it's eventually going to go in the ocean, and it's just a lot of controversy. But I am against the whole project. I am against project. A few years ago, I remember there was one of those bags that ended up in the engine of the or in the prop of the Steamship Authority. Phil Osley was telling me that.
Right.
Remember that?
Yep.
I mean, this just it's not a great idea.
Okay. All right.
I really don't know how else to say it without sounding more controversial, but I'm just against the whole project.
All right. And how do you feel about wind turbines, solar panels on top of roofs?
I'm all for solar. I think solar technology is something that we really need to look into. I mean, I am all for solar.
But
we
not
live
wind.
out here. Wind, we can use wind. I think wind's a great idea because this is so windy out here.
Right.
But so many other people are going to complain about it. So solar, wind is more moving parts. It's more expensive. So many other parts of the world are using solar, and it's really taking off. I know over in Europe, it seems that everything is solar. They're putting solar everywhere.
Really? Even in Lithuania, where
it's the same latitude as southern Alaska, there is solar everywhere.
Wow. Okay.
People's houses, their stoves and ovens will just turn on because their houses are making too much energy in the wintertime.
Right. Yeah, I do know what you're talking about.
So
those are cool stoves, though.
I mean, there's just too much energy, and so it's all going back on the grid and just turns on.
Yeah, they've really got it all figured it out. Yeah.
Right, so I mean, and that's the same latitude as southern Alaska. Lithuania is not doing it, because it's more expensive. They're doing it because it's cheaper. It's the cheaper way to go in the long run,
isn't it?
It really is. It's the future.
We can learn so much from other people if we would only look at them.
Right. Well, it's the future. We keep trying to hold on to certain things, for certain reasons, monetary
but we're
reasons.
open-minded in most senses. I don't understand why our country does not look toward other countries in a more learning fashion. Like you guys figured this out,
right.
So maybe we should learn from you. But we don't want to know about that.
Yeah, change is hard. Change is hard. It really is. But everywhere you go, even across America, you can find great examples of, a different way to do things. There are different ways to do things in the South. In a small isolated pocket. But even try to get someone to do just change is difficult no matter where you are. It doesn't have to be a different nation. It can be the same state. It could be something on the vineyard. We're not going to do that because the vineyard does that.
Right.
Just change is hard. People are stubborn.
It's stubborn, and it is a market-driven country.
It is a market-driven country.
If you're not buying stuff, you're not part of the wave. You got to be buying stuff in this country. Buying, selling, buying. It's just crazy.
Consumerism.
It's crazy. It's out of control.
It really is consumerism.
It's out of control.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to other countries and you see how people live, and you see a little more kind of peacefulness. I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know. It's not as stressed out.
Right, I completely agree.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel as stressed out.
I completely agree. It's just one of the things, even with the kids, when we go over there with our kids and we see their cousins, and everyone, will be in a park next to all these restaurants, and they're fine. Just you take out the food and you give it to them. Not one of the other kids will say like, oh well, let's go get a cheeseburger, let's go get this, or let's everyone's just happy with their carrot sticks. I don't mean to put it like that.
Yeah,
I mean it's like they're comfortable and they're content.
Right.
Like I said before, if you needed to walk a quarter mile with your own bag to go to the grocery store, that's what you do. You just walk the quarter mile to the grocery store. You don't complain about it. You just do it.
I hear you, man. Well, what else? Say what do you want to tell the folks out there about you breaking in here?
Well, a lot of you probably don't know me. I grew up out here. My name's Shawn Cabral. Last few years, I'm sure many of you have noticed a large amount of changes going on around on the island. The rapid development, just the more traffic, the more crime, the more litter, the more everything. And I think that we need to really reevaluate where we are headed and the direction that we are heading in. And is this really the direction that we want to be heading down into the future? And where are we going to be in 50 years? And is this the kind of island we want to leave to our children and grandchildren?
And you're going to represent that voice.
I am going to represent that voice.
That's kind of what I get. Even though
I really keep thinking about, am I going to leave this to my grandchildren? Are we leaving this island? Is this the direction we're going in for my grandkids? This is really what I want to leave them. Mm-hmm. It's not really. I mean, we're really transitioning from this old historic Nantucket to this modern day northern Disney World retreat. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but
it's definitely a theme. There's a certain theme, and it's a certain kind of person that can afford to come here, and it's a certain kind of person that loves it, and they do love it. I mean, they love it, and and I can't blame them. I loved it too in the '80s, but it's not the same place it was in the '80s.
No, it's not. But we also can try to steer the ship, to see what direction we're going in. For instance, a lot of people, were excited with certain celebrities that came to the island last year. And if we keep heading down the superficial direction, that's where we're going to attract the superficial people.
Right.
And if you have other islands where an island 30 miles out to sea, we could really be this beacon where other communities look at to see how Nantucket has done it. Nantucket put in these regulations and they were able to, to slow down but continue the growth.
Wow.
Continue with everything. Get rid of the to help, to work together with the landscapers. Not just say you can't use this or you can use this, but there's so many other things that we can do out here to help out, to really work together. And we're just not you know, we used to just be a great influence out here. You know, Nantucket had such great influence around, you know, the whole country.
Right,
Not
right.
just,
right,
you know,
I agree with you.
affluence.
I agree. Exactly. Hey, listen, that was really nice to see you, and thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks. I'll be a little more prepared next time, you know.
You did great.
Yeah, thanks.
You did great, man. Wish you the best, okay?
Thank you.
You got it.
All right, have a good one.
See you, Shawn.
Good to see you.
Yep.